This episode is a mad dash from beginning to end, barely letting the audience catch a breath. What's missing, though, is the fun and satirical humor that was ever present throughout the first 8 episodes of the first season. Instead, we get a continuation of the drug-induced madness of last episode, which makes sense since this is part 2. We've gone from taking the piss out of Hollywood to having Hollywood piss its pants, literally.
Not literally.
Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking another episode of The Studio, actually the season finale of The Studio. So the premise of this whole thing is to figure out what sitcom is the best of all time by going through every episode and ranking each episode and then averaging the episodes for the whole series. So that gives us the best overall, right? Now, if you're enjoying these episodes, or if you're just a fan of The Studio and enjoy consuming content about it, please consider subscribing and or following, like the episodes, comment on them, leave suggestions, send an email to me, whatever you want to do. Please also consider becoming a patron on our Patreon page at patreon.com/TheRankPodcast. Now today we're ranking the 10th and final episode of the first season of The Studio, titled The Presentation, which was written by Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, Peter Hike, Alex Gregory, and Frida Perez, and directed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Now, since this is a new series, or at least relatively new, I avoid spoilers. All right, so let's get into it, starting with the Potent Notables.
Potent Notables.
Okay, so in my search to find potent notables for each and every episode, I found this website called televisionstats.com and another one called justwatch.com. Now, they both measure viewership, and it seems that television stats, the televisionstats.com, measures via engagement, and Just Watch actually has a bunch of people signed up to it, and they monitor their streaming views or something along those lines. On the other sitcoms I always start the potent notables with the ratings that it had at the time, and so I just thought it was kind of interesting to find some measurement of viewership here. Now, with Just Watch, I haven't been able to figure out exactly how to look back in the past, but it has a daily stream chart, and on this chart, on July 15th, which is when I'm recording this episode, it was ranked 45th, which seems pretty good considering that it hasn't had any new episode in a couple of months. Now, with televisionstats.com, on the same date, I looked up what the top shows were for the past year, so July 15th, 2024 to July 14th, 2025, and it has The Studio at 113th, which is actually up 7 spots from when I looked at it last week. Now, a little bit in defense of The Studio here, this is up against every show on television or streaming, period. So it's a huge list. Like, it's old shows, like it's up against Friends and The Office and just everything. Plus, shows that have been out closer to a year ago have had more time to get their engagement score up, right? So now, if this is interesting to any of you, I'll track this for the second season whenever that starts, and I'll be ranking The Studio episodes. I also did find an article from April that said that The Studio did hit number 1 on Just Watch for the week of March 23rd to 30th, which was the week it premiered. So that's something, I think. All right, and then additionally, for the other shows, I usually talk about Emmy nominations or lack thereof for finale, season finale episodes. I figured I wouldn't be able to do that for this one, but thought maybe I could find some odds for it to be nominated and whatnot. And a lot of the pundits expect The Studio to be nominated for its first season. So here we go. It got nominated for a bunch, like a whole bunch. A lot of them I didn't even know were categories in the Emmys, but so here we go. It got nominated for Outstanding Hairstyling for the CinemaCon episode, Outstanding Music Composition for the Missing Reel episode, Outstanding Music Supervision, whatever that means, for the Promotion episode, Outstanding Picture Editing for the Promotion, Outstanding Contemporary Costumes for CinemaCon, Outstanding Cinematography for the Oneer, Outstanding Casting, Outstanding Production Design for the Note, Outstanding Sound Editing for the Golden Globes, Outstanding Sound Mixing for the Golden Globes, which, those used to be 2 categories for the Oscars and they combined them. I don't know why they haven't done that here, but anyway. Seth and Evan got nominated for Outstanding Directing for the Oneer. Seth got nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series and Outstanding Writing for the Promotion. Ike Barinholtz got nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series. Katherine Hahn got nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actress, as did Catherine O'Hara. Bryan Cranston, Dave Franco, Ron Howard, Anthony Mackie, and Martin Scorsese all got nominated for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series. series. There was actually only one other nominee, and it was for John Bernthal on The Bear. So it'd be kind of funny if he won, because that just means the studio lost like 5 times. Anyway, Zoe Kravitz got nominated for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series, and she was the only one, which I found interesting. So they got, like 5 guys nominated, but only one lady. Anyway, and finally, Outstanding Comedy Series. I don't know if you guys were counting there, but that's 23 nominations. So do you guys think it'll win Best Comedy Series or Outstanding Comedy Series or whatever? Do you think it should?
Yes, I suppose it should.
It should, right?
Now, I am really curious your thoughts, but I will give you mine. I think it won't and shouldn't. But I like that it was nominated.
Doesn't sound like you did.
So I'm not bashing it by saying that. I don't think it should win, basically. So, all right, let's go to the episode overview. So we've got a part 2 for our season finale, which is taking place at CinemaCon. In this, we see Matt reach the heights of ineptitude. I don't know how the second season could possibly start with him still being studio head, but the man is lucky, so maybe that's what keeps him in the top spot. I don't know. This episode is a mad dash from beginning to end, barely letting the audience catch a breath. What's missing, though, is the fun and satirical humor that was ever present throughout the first 8 episodes of the first season. Instead, we get a continuation of the drug-induced madness of last episode, which makes sense since this is part 2. We've gone from taking the piss out of Hollywood to having Hollywood piss its pants, literally.
Not literally.
I've never been a big gross out humor fan, so if that's your bag, you'll like this one. I suppose I should have seen it coming because we had an episode where Matt was trying to keep a shit explosion in a trailer, but I didn't. It caught me off guard. Now, the premise of the series and what it started out with in the first 8 episodes will definitely keep me into a second season, but the closing, in my opinion, is disappointing. One thing that was neat, though, was to see how they pitch movies to the theater owners to get them excited about the year's slate. Like, you'll be in good hands with us. We'll drive people to the theater. I have to wonder how much those owners have been feeling the crunch in the past few years. I don't know about you guys out there, but the theaters near me don't even have people manning the box office anymore. You just buy your tickets at concession or at like a kiosk. It's kind of a bummer. Of course, I met my wife when she was working at the box office booth, so maybe I'm more sentimental about it than other people are. Anyway, is that true for your theater as well? Are you guys out there just going straight to concessions, the kiosk, or purchasing at home? Also, and maybe this is the wrong audience to ask, but are you still going to the movies as much as you used to before COVID? If not, why not? That sounded like it was accusatory. I'm honestly just curious. I'm curious what's made you decide to stay home. And do you still watch as many movies as you did before? Or less?
Okay, let's get back on track here.
Okay, enough with the survey. I'm just curious, so I'll look forward to anyone who wants to write in the comments or shoot me a message. Anyway, back to the drug-addled hysteria that was this episode. As much as I was disappointed in the direction that they went in the season finale, it was decently funny.
Objectively hilarious.
Also, Dave Franco stole the show. He was hilarious. Now, after a season of The Studio, I can't help but wonder what they'll do for the encore. Will they try to get more and different cameos? Or will they have their cameos repeat? They have it set up in a way that they could just continue the year with the slate of movies they've already discussed, and therefore have Zoe Kravitz and Dave Franco and Ron Howard and Anthony Mackie, etc. reprise their roles as they take the movies from pre-production to filming to post-production to release. Now, I can't help but be curious if Kool-Aid will be everything that they hope it will be. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. You won't have to wait to find out the rankings for this episode, though. Let's go to the rank.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the episode based on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then I add a laugh counter at the end where I tally up the amount of times that the episode made me laugh out loud, and that gets added to the score. It's 1 point per laugh out loud. So on to the first category, which is story. I gave story a 3.25. The premise of having to have a great presentation at CinemaCon, that's good. The addition of the drugs doesn't do much for me. I think it's kind of weak and a little lazy. It feels a little like Seth was working from a standpoint of something new in those first 8 episodes, but wanted to go back to familiar to close things out. I wish he hadn't. He was killing it before this. So let's go to acting, which I gave a 4. Everyone did drug acting really well. Dave Franco was hilarious. Seth Rogen was as good as you'd expect him to be when acting high. For everyone else, it kind of felt like they were just yelling at each other a bunch. Oh, actually, I should highlight Catherine O'Hara, who was always great. I didn't like Bryan Cranston's character, Griffin Mill, but nevertheless, he did do a good job acting. So next category is dialogue, which I gave a 3. Again, another disappointment because this had been really getting good, but it didn't make me laugh as much as it should, although I did think I laughed more than I actually did, so that makes me think it was a pretty funny episode. However, they relied too much on slapstick and just they weren't very clever. So let's go to episode coherence, which I gave a 4. Still quite good coherence. I will say that my gripes with coherence from last week's episode still stand for this one, but being that it's the second part and it established its story, it stayed within its confines well. Also, considering how madcap it was, they were actually able to make it clear and concise. So let's go to the last category, which is character relatability, which I gave a 3.25. It's hard for me to relate to anyone in this because they all make just the dumbest choices, but what I can relate to is the stress of trying to make something work that feels like it's just going to fall off the rails. So I can relate to that. All right, that's it. All that's left is the laugh counter. And, based on the rankings so far, it's going to need a decent laugh counter to kind of put it up into the 3 higher tiers. And in this case, it was 11. So it did not do that. The total for the episode is 28.5, and that makes it a mediocre. Now that puts the series average at a 32, which means it continues to be an I'd watch it again. So I guess we'll see how it goes from here. So thanks for listening and or watching, everybody. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and please consider supporting us on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast, where you get access to all of our archived episodes. But I'll leave you with this. Why did Sal Saperstein start doing cocaine? That's because he saw those old commercials from Coca-Cola that said have a Coke and a smile, and he took it in a very different direction.
Terrible joke!
I know it's not good, Antonio. You come up with the jokes.
If you insist.
As a matter of fact, I will. Why did Sal Saperstein start doing cocaine? Well, so that John's jokes would be funnier. Ha 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 ha. Thank you. Thank you. Hold on, I've got another one. So the other day I went into a public bathroom, and there were some bad jokes written on the wall. I guess that's why they call it the John. Ha 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 ha. Thank you, I'll be here all week. Remember to like and subscribe.
I avoid spoilers in this. So there shouldn't be any spoilers. I don't know why I'm continuing.
I think they get it. Okay.